A police officer humiliates a girl by confiscating her prosthetic leg without understanding who her family is. What begins as a case of unwarranted authority spirals into unexpected consequences when the truth is revealed. Subscribe to follow this story and share in the comments where you're watching from. ####a day at the park. Samantha always looked forward to her trips to the park. It was her sanctuary, a space where she could forget the world's judgment and just be herself. Every step she took with her prosthetic leg was deliberate, a reflection of her determination to live fully. Today, her best friend, Liam, was with her, his exuberance brightening her day as he shared animated stories. Samantha laughed, feeling more at ease in the open air. The park was alive with activity, laughter, the rustling of leaves, and the occasional bark of a dog. She cherished these moments, even if she could never completely ignore the weight of being seen as different. Liam's carefree energy reminded her to let go, even if only temporarily. As they walked along the sunlit path, Liam recounted an amusing incident from school. His exaggerated gestures and infectious laughter made Samantha giggle. She couldn't help but feel grateful for his presence, for the way he treated her as just another friend. But her comfort was short-lived. As they rounded a corner near the playground, Samantha's laughter faltered. A tall, imposing figure in a police uniform stood in their path, watching her with a cold, invasive intensity. Her heart skipped a beat, an instinctive alarm setting off inside her. ###an unjust confrontation. The officer, whose name tag read Officer Brooks, approached slowly, his scrutinizing gaze fixed on Samantha's prosthetic leg. His presence turned the lively atmosphere tense. Liam noticed Samantha's sudden change in demeanor and whispered, "What's his problem?" "I don't know," Samantha replied, her voice barely audible. She tightened her grip on the strap of her bag, trying to suppress the unease building in her chest. "Can I see some identification?" Officer Brooks demanded, his tone cold and unyielding. Samantha's eyes widened in surprise. "I'm sorry, I don't have any ID on me. I'm just a kid," she stammered. Brooks' eyes narrowed. "And what about that leg?" he asked, nodding toward her prosthetic. "Where did you get it? Do you have any documentation for it?" The question left Samantha stunned. She glanced at Liam, who looked equally bewildered. "It's my leg," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't carry documents for it." Brooks' expression hardened. "If you don't have proof that it's legally yours, I'll need to take it in for examination." Samantha's heart raced. "Take my leg," she echoed, her voice cracking. The humiliation of such a demand in public was unbearable. "You can't just take it." Without waiting for her consent, Brooks knelt and unfastened the straps holding her prosthetic in place. Samantha struggled, tears welling in her eyes. But he was relentless. As he walked away with her prosthetic in hand, she stood on one leg, vulnerable and humiliated. Strangers looked on, some filming the encounter, others whispering in disbelief. Liam stood by her side, his face flushed with anger. "Give it back to her," he shouted. But Brooks ignored him. ###the aftermath. At home, Samantha sat on the couch, her eyes fixed on the empty space where her prosthetic had been. Her father, Ethan, paced the room, his face a mask of fury as Samantha recounted the incident. "That officer had no right," Ethan said, his voice shaking with anger. "Taking something so personal, so essential to who you are, is monstrous." Samantha nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "He made me feel like I was something wrong, like I didn't belong." Ethan knelt in front of her, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Listen to me, Sam. You are perfect just as you are. We're going to make this right. That officer will be held accountable." ###taking action. Later that evening, Ethan called his old friend, Marcus, a journalist known for exposing corruption. Marcus arrived quickly, his compassionate demeanor calming Samantha's nerves. "This is outrageous," Marcus said after hearing the story. "We're going to shine a light on this. People need to know what's happening." With Marcus' help, they filed a formal complaint and began gathering evidence, including video footage from bystanders. As news of the incident spread, It sparked outrage in the community. Messages of support poured in. But so did hateful comments questioning Samantha's motives. Hashtag the fight for justice. The weeks leading up to the trial were grueling. Samantha faced whispers at school, both supportive and cruel. One day, a boy named Tyler sneered at her. "You just want attention," he said, his words cutting deep. At home, the family received anonymous threats urging them to drop the case. Ethan's resolve only strengthened. "We won't be intimidated," he said firmly. "This is too important." Marcus uncovered a troubling history of misconduct by Officer Brooks, multiple complaints of excessive force and discrimination, many of which had mysteriously disappeared. "This isn't just about Samantha," Marcus said. "It's about exposing a system that protects people like him." Hashtag the trial. On the day of the trial, Samantha sat in the courtroom, her heart pounding. She recounted every detail of that day, her voice steady despite her nerves. The prosecutor presented evidence of Brooks' pattern of abuse, painting a damning picture. When Brooks took the stand, his defense crumbled. Under cross-examination, he revealed his bias, saying, "People like her think they deserve special treatment." The courtroom fell silent, his prejudice laid bare. The judge delivered a guilty verdict, citing Brooks' abuse of power and prejudice. Samantha felt a wave of relief as justice was served. Hashtag moving forward. After the trial, Samantha and her father launched an organization to support individuals facing discrimination. With Marcus' help, they built a platform to amplify voices and provide resources for those in need. 1 year later, Samantha stood in the same park, speaking to a crowd gathered for a community event. "This was where I felt humiliated," she began. "But today, I stand here proud. Together, we can create a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect." The crowd erupted in applause, and Samantha smiled, knowing that her journey had made a difference. She had turned her pain into purpose, becoming a beacon of hope for others. This was only the beginning of her fight for justice and equality.